Tonight, an arson investigation in St. Thomas. A dozen people displaced. Details on the aftermath and the suspect. Plus, a potential reality check for interprovincial trade.
So far, no government has put anything on the table to actually achieve that objective.
Lots of political talk, growing skepticism about the impact. And all in on diabetes research.
If we find a cure, everyone can live a happy life, healthy life.
The legacy of Banting House lives on.
CTV News with Carlisle Fizette.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with calls from the St. Thomas Police Chief for criminal justice reforms. A massive fire from this weekend has turned into an arson investigation, and the suspect a repeat offender. With the latest, here's Brian Bicknell.
A massive heap of rubble creating a hole in the downtown streetscape. It's what's left after fire destroyed a heritage building at 616 Talbot Street.
It's a sad big hole on Talbot Street.
City councillor and local historian Steve Peters says it's a big loss.
The building itself was constructed in 1881. It was known as the Acacia Block. For many years in the 1880s and into the 1890s, our first hospital was on the second floor of this building.
Susanna Pereira runs a business directly across the street.
I'm hoping that it's not going to negatively affect the downtown. I'm hoping that it'll get rebuilt and that it'll fit in with the history that we have.
This dramatic video captures the moment the upper levels collapsed. The front brick wall cascading down onto the street. The building was being renovated when fire tore through about 4 o'clock Sunday morning. Some 25 firefighters were on scene, tackling the blaze for several hours.
This was built in 1881, so all the wood components and whatnot are very, very dry, so they're just ready for that spark, right? It was in the process of being brought up to current fire code, but because there was no drywall or any fire stops within the actual building itself, it was just able to run loose.
The upper floors of the building next door are operated by housing nonprofit Indwell. 12 people have been temporarily displaced. Indwell saying in a statement that residents are unharmed. Meantime, 44-year-old Joseph Penfound of St. Thomas faces a charge of arson, among other related charges. Police Chief Mark Roskamp expressing frustration in a statement on Monday, referring to the suspect as a prolific offender. He also says the current bail approach allows high-risk individuals to reoffend once they're released. STPS believes in compassion, but not an automatic overcompensation to blame social determinants as the cause, and where chronic criminality is treated as a symptom. According to police, Penfound was out on bail for 13 criminal offenses and a probation order subject to 14 criminal offenses. Penfound has appeared in court and remains in custody. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
First responders in St. Mary's say they were able to save a historic building from a fire this weekend. They say an apartment at the back of the Opera House on Water Street caught fire early Saturday morning. According to fire officials, a tenant walking their dog spotted smoke and called 911. They also say residents of the 150-year-old building will be able to return once building and fire inspectors deem the structure safe, though no timeline for that has been given. A lightning strike sparked a barn fire in South London early this morning, causing a power outage. According to fire investigators, the lightning strike happened around 1 a.m. and the barn was quickly engulfed at the south end of Bostwick near Wonderland. London Hydro officials say about 4,000 customers lost power in the area, which was fully restored by about 7 a.m.
A cold front brought scattered showers and thunderstorms to the area, of course, causing that fire in and around Bostwick Road. Now, as we head into tonight, calmer conditions. That front is now stalled south of us and taking the rainfall with it. Right now, the temperature 21 degrees. It's comfortable. It's cool. As we head toward here on Perth. Grey Bruce 17 to 18 degrees, so it's beautiful. We've had a cold front come through, still dealing with a touch of humidity on the hour, but nice and comfortable in London, feeling like 26. It feels closer to 30 as we head to Essex County. Satellite radar showing that cloud cover breaking up. We will see a bit of cloud overnight. The winds out of the north, so feeling a bit more fresh and comfortable. 17 degrees by midnight, and those northwest winds will continue. I'll take you through the forecast. High pressure building in for tomorrow, but tracking a weak front for Wednesday that could spark a few showers. I'll take you through your extended forecast and a look ahead to the weekend coming up.
Thank you, Julie. London police say they're investigating a downtown shooting from the weekend. They say officers were called to King and Richmond around 2 a.m. Saturday, where they found a man with a gunshot wound who was taken to hospital with serious injuries. According to police, the major crime investigators have taken over this case, and they're asking anyone with surveillance footage in the area to contact them. An interprovincial search is underway for an inmate who escaped a Quebec prison and may be in southwestern Ontario. Laurie Bill Germo is being held at a minimum security prison north of Montreal. The 69-year-old was convicted of first-degree murder in 1992, and it's believed he may now be in southwestern Ontario near South Bruce or Hanover. He's described as 5'8", Métis, bald with brown eyes, a scar on his left eyebrow, and multiple tattoos. Provincial police say they're looking for a federal offender known to visit London and Sarnia. They say this is 44-year-old Joshua Gray, who is wanted on a Canada-wide warrant for breaching release conditions. He's currently serving a sentence for several offenses, including armed robbery. Gray is described as 5'10", 140 pounds, with brown hair and green eyes. He also has numerous tattoos. 2 people were taken to hospital after a serious crash in northeast London this morning. The crash involved 2 cars and a dump truck near Clark and Fanshawe Park Road East. London fire officials say crews had to extricate 1 person from their vehicle. They say both people taken to hospital have serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The roadway was closed down for much of the morning while police investigated the circumstances. Premier Doug Ford signed a memorandum of understanding with his Alberta counterpart today, part of an ongoing push to bring down interprovincial trade barriers. However, as Rachel Aiello reports, there's growing skepticism over the impact these agreements will actually have.
Free trade being one within all the provinces that will add over $200 billion to our economy.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford touting the potential of Canada-wide free trade after signing new agreements with Alberta to advance energy infrastructure and support the automotive and alcohol manufacturing sectors.
Today's signing marks an historic partnership founded in a mutual ambition to reach the full potential of our provinces.
This deal is the latest in a series of policy moves made in recent months to try and limit the damage caused by U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war by breaking down interprovincial trade barriers. Though a new report out today from a left-leaning think tank argues that the notion that resolving such issues could lead to more than $200 billion in economic gains is pure fantasy. One of its authors cautions the cost of cutting this red tape could result in a race to the bottom for safety and service standards.
I think Canadians need to be wary, and they need to be cautious anytime they see a government saying they're doing something to respond to a national emergency, right?
Meanwhile, one of the authors of the report where the $200 billion estimate originated acknowledged politicians have overstated his estimate.
It's also an estimate that we put forward that represents the maximum possible gains from fully eliminating all of the internal trade barriers in Canada, which so far no government has put anything on the table to actually achieve that objective.
Today, Internal Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland's office said the federal government knows there's more work to do. And that work will continue tomorrow when the ministers responsible for internal trade from each province and territory meet in Quebec City. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Chatham-Kent officials say they are preparing to dismantle a homeless encampment near the community's downtown ahead of a major construction project this fall. Officials say it's a safety decision because of slope stabilization work that must be completed. They say staff have started notifying the people living there, with outreach workers offering support, trying to connect people with shelter and services. According to municipal officials, anyone living in the encampment must leave by next Monday, when they plan on starting removing tents. A local expert in tracking diseases has launched a new app providing users with a geographical snapshot of potential health concerns across Ontario. With more on the launch and the plans for expansion, here's Scott Miller.
But the weekly trend is on a decrease.
Friends heading overseas recently asked mathematical epidemiologist Chapin Korosek whether it was medically safe for their young family to travel to a certain part of Europe amidst a measles outbreak. He crunched the numbers and sent them a one-page outline with the most current disease outlook, and then he started thinking.
Maybe a lot of people would like this hyper-local, active information for disease trends in their region, and then that was the spark that led to this idea.
6 months later, countless hours, and $3,000 later, Korosek, his wife Alexandra Casper, and Michael Daly, all from Goderich, launched episense.ca, a web-based app that essentially is a weather app for illness tracking, allowing people to see what the disease trends are in their specific area of the province.
We saw a lot of this during the COVID outbreak. There was lots of information available, but it's not easy to digest or understand as an everyday person. So with episense.ca, what we're trying to do is make that information accessible and easy to digest, just like a weather forecast.
You don't want to get sucked into deep analysis. You don't want to get sucked into reading 10 different sources. So the vision is really, you can wake up, you can check your episense.ca app and just see what is the real risk out there.
Right now, episense.ca is tracking measles, COVID, RSV, influenza A and B, and rhinovirus. Users input the first 3 letters of their postal code and they get a dashboard with the current status of those illnesses and which way those illnesses are trending. A Lyme disease tick tracker is under development, as well as an Ontario map with hotspots. Korosek says they're using largely public health data along with a self-reporting tool to try and have the most accurate and understandable health data available to their users.
If we can capture really severe epidemiological trends as they're happening and even get a few days lead time countrywide, then that would be a really valuable thing for society.
While the current focus of Episense is tracking health data in Ontario, the next goal would be moving on to BC and possibly across the country.
It's a solution designed by Canadians for Canadians to make them help make better decisions about their health.
It's really to be that disease decision-making tool so that you can keep your family safe.
In Goderich, Scott Miller, CTV News.
The ongoing work to find a cure for diabetes was recognized here in London today on the 36th anniversary of the Flame of Hope at Banting House. With more on the ceremony and who was honored, here's Lauren Stallone.
Advocates gathered outside London's Banting House, the birthplace of insulin, Monday morning to mark the 36th anniversary of the Flame of Hope.
July 7th, 1989, the Queen Mother was here to, light the Flame of Hope to try, and hopefully someday extinguish this so we can say we've got a cure for diabetes.
The Flame of Hope is a symbol of unity and inspiration. It spreads a powerful message of inclusion and perseverance across the globe.
There's 4.1 million people in this country that live with diabetes, and there's even more numbers than that when you look at who lives with prediabetes.
MP Sonia Sidhu was recognized for her advocacy work and quest to cure diabetes at the ceremony.
I'm from Brampton, and in Brampton, every 6th or 7th person is impacted by diabetes or prediabetes. That is why I want to work to help my community.
Sidhu proposed a bill that was passed through Parliament, improving access to diabetes care across Canada.
We've got things like pharmacare and device funds and research that's all happening thanks to that framework. And so we thought today would be a good day to acknowledge her work on the day that we're celebrating the anniversary.
Hundreds of bricks are placed around Banting House commemorating individuals and events related to diabetes. Now, the newest addition, a brick commemorating Sidhu and her dedication to finding a cure.
If we find a cure, everyone can live a happy life, healthy life.
Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
we come back, we look back at London's biggest summer festival, Sunfest, which just wrapped up for another year.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We begin tonight with Ontario's
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVLondon.ca, your home for news.
Welcome back. A London summer staple wrapped up yesterday. It was a hot weekend at Sunfest, but as Nick Paparella reports, that didn't stop the crowds from coming out in big numbers.
With 45 musical acts from across Canada and around the world, Sunfest 2025 was well attended over the 4 days, with an estimated 150,000 people taking in the festival. As cleanup crews clear Victoria Park, organizers are more than happy with this year's turnout.
Uber drivers were telling us that they haven't seen it this busy before in Victoria Park, so that tells us that there was a great number of people that were coming in, and we met so many people from out of town, coming in from the U.S. especially, some people coming in from Quebec as well, and all over Ontario, the GTA. Lots of people from Toronto saying, how does this not exist in Toronto? We can't believe this exists here in London. So absolutely amazing feedback.
There is nothing better to see the community celebrating, in an upbeat and free environment.
Plans are already underway for next year's festival. Sunfest 2026 is set to kick off here at Victoria Park July 9th to the 12th.
Well, we always have dreams about how we can continue expanding the festival, or enhancing the festival in many different ways. So that has to do a lot with, funding and support from, agencies and the city and, all kinds of revenues that we can generate so that we can continue doing this.
We hope to continue the sustainability of the festival, make sure that we can continue offering this caliber of musicianship to the visitors of Sunfest, and really just keep going for years to come.
Nick Paparella, CTV News.
Julie's on the desk with me now. A beautiful weekend for Sunfest. And now we shift gears to another festival here. Rock the Park kicks off tomorrow. We'll have plenty of coverage for that all week long. And of course, we've got a story actually coming up about one of the local bands that'll be performing at Rock the Park. That's coming up later in this newscast. How about the forecast, though, for people who are going to be out there?
Yeah, tomorrow looks like an absolutely beautiful day. A great way to kick it off following that hot, sunny weekend. We had mainly sunny conditions with the exception of yesterday. But in terms of a weather forecast for Sunfest, it was awesome. And of course, now we shift gears to Rock the Park and talking about some great conditions as well this week. Now, we do have a slight chance for showers as we head into your Wednesday, and we'll talk about that, although the probabilities on the lower end. Our high today coming in below normal. So we had that front come through, and with that cold front coming through, it left us with a fair amount of cloud cover out there today. So we did start the day with the rainfall, the early morning thunderstorms, but the rest of the day was just mainly cloudy. Now, noticing the temperature dropping off and really noticing the dew points drop, which means the humidity is quite comfortable. Temperatures in Midwestern Ontario, it's just 18 to 19 degrees. We have some cool winds coming off Lake Huron, so not the best beach day. And temperatures in those lakeshore communities feeling warm, but humidity levels really dropping off. So as we take a look at the satellite radar, you can see the round of showers and thunderstorms has now drifted off to the south of us. The front will stall in through the Ohio area and will just stay south of the Great Lakes. High pressure builds in for tomorrow. We can see a bit of cloud cover first thing in the morning, but the trend will be to clear conditions and go mainly sunny as we head into the afternoon. Looking across Canada tonight, Western Canada, anywhere from 20 to 23 degrees. We do have some big air quality issues due to forest fires, so smoky conditions in through parts of Manitoba and northwestern Ontario tonight, and some active weather moving through the Maritimes. There's been severe weather associated with that frontal boundary, and now that is slowly moving to the east coast. As we take a look at the rest of the warnings. You can see air quality across the southern prairies and some heat warnings at west. Overnight, 14 degrees in London. That's nice and comfortable. 17 degrees towards KW if you're near Lake Huron tonight, 16, and near Lake Erie, 17 degrees. Going out 48 hours, looking beautiful for your Tuesday. Heading into Wednesday, things shift a bit. We'll have some rainfall Wednesday morning as we head toward Grey and Bruce County and the Bruce Peninsula. And then as we head into the afternoon, we could see a few light showers develop, possibility of a pop-up thunderstorm. So that's what we'll be watching. And I know this will be the time when many folks are heading down to Rock the Park. So keeping a close eye on that forecast, of course, expecting a few showers to pop up in the area. It's just hard to pinpoint where they'll be as we don't have a big front sweeping through the area. They will be ahead of a weak front. So as that comes in, we could see a little bit of shower action. Tuesday afternoon, the forecast high comes in at 27, mainly sunny. It'll feel like 30 to 31 in the afternoon. Our Metal Roof Outlet forecast for your Wednesday, a 40% chance of showers at 26. Probability a bit higher in the morning in through Grey and Bruce County. Mix of sun and cloud Thursday and Friday, 27 to 29 degrees. Saturday will start dry with a mix of sun and cloud, increasing cloud cover Saturday evening with the chance of nighttime rain, 29. 27, mainly cloudy on Sunday, 31 on Monday under a mix of sun and cloud. So heating back up a week today, but some beautiful conditions over the next couple of days. It's going to be cool. Again, tomorrow in and around Bayfield, Port Elgin, heading towards Sauble with that northerly wind coming in. That keeps things quite fresh near the lakeshore, especially with an air mass change like we've had. 25 degrees with a chance of showers on Wednesday. Mix of sun and cloud Thursday, looking absolutely beautiful for your Friday with mainly sunny conditions and a few showers moving into the area on a Saturday night. That's a gorgeous forecast, Carlisle, as we head through the week. A couple opportunities for some light rainfall, but no major swings in terms of major heat moving in. The humidity will slowly creep its way back in, but your Tuesday looks fantastic. A gorgeous day, especially as we head through lunchtime and into the afternoon.
Awesome. All right, Julie, thanks very much. Coming up, a warning to do your research before hiring just any contractor. The story of a Toronto couple and the substantial money they lost for largely unnecessary work.
Hello, we are back from vacation, and here's the deal. If you want to be on a permanent vacation, we've got a solution for you.
We certainly do. At 7:10, the new time for Prize Town, we have a $100 OLG voucher up for grabs all week.
Welcome back. As mentioned before the break, Rock the Park kicks off tomorrow, running through Saturday. Some big names will be hitting the stage. Among them, a local band performing in their hometown. With more on No Exceptions, here's Sean Irvin.
As preparations for this week's Rock the Park continue, a few members of the crew are worried about not only setting up the stage, but their performance on it. They are members of the London and Mount Bridges-based metalcore band No Exceptions. They've been chosen to open Friday's heavy metal lineup. Formed over a decade ago, No Exceptions consists of 4 members, all of whom are focused on rock.
We kind of started off as like a punk rock, pop rock kind of band and kind of, came to being the little bit heavier side of stuff.
The evolution of No Exceptions began with lead singer Tommy Breyer and his brother Jaden on drums. As they matured, so did the band and its sound. Then, tragedy struck.
In 2022, my brother actually passed away.
Jaden's memory was captured in the song Kind Regards, featuring new drummer Jet Phillip. Since Jaden's passing, the band has grown its Southern Ontario following. The dedication has paid off with the chance to appear at Rock the Park in advance of mega group Bad Omen. No Exception will be the first London band to take the stage in nearly a decade.
Just an opportunity for more of London to know our name and know who we are, and we like to represent London.
Me and a bunch of people that I know have been going to this show all throughout the years, so being able to play on that stage right over there is a dream come true, and I cannot wait.
The band hopes its hard-hitting, headbanging sound gets them noticed. And what a story it would be to go from the setup crew to the top.
The dream would be going from working the stage to being a headliner.
As they do, they'll pause to look up and toast their late bandmate.
The show is absolutely dedicated to him in every way, and we hope we do him proud.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
A couple in Toronto are sharing their experience spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a contractor for home renovations, only to find out much of the work was insufficient and will have to be redone. Now, as Pat Foran reports, the original company they hired seems to have disappeared.
It's been very upsetting and scary.
Angelique Davies and Frank Novello are still in shock after being pressured into paying for renovations that will have to be done over again, as well as some work that wasn't needed at all. They have an older home in Toronto and did have leaks in their roof that needed to be repaired. Novello had previously chatted with contractors he had seen in the neighborhood.
This fellow in a pickup truck recognized me, and he knew my first name, Frank. And he gave me a brochure.
The couple asked the company to check their roof in December of last year. The contractor claimed when he saw it, it was a disaster waiting to happen.
The condition of the roof was so terrible that it was going to cave in. They had us feeling very frightened.
They ripped the roof off, leaving their home exposed to the elements. At one point, there were 20 different leaks. The workers then claimed there were other serious problems.
Oh no, there's something wrong with the walls, and these walls will not hold up a new roof, so we have to fix that.
The company also created huge electrical issues in their home and also tried to convince them they needed major foundation work. Over a period of less than 2 months, the couple paid the contractor $480,000. When you look back on the fact that it's $480,000, how do you feel about that big number?
It's breathtaking.
The company they signed a contract with is Thompson Roofing and Construction. Their phone number is no longer in service. Emails from CTV News were not returned, and the address on their website is incomplete. The couple says it hasn't heard from the company in 6 months, and work that was done will have to be ripped up and done again by another contractor.
Rain and melting snow came pouring through.
But has this been repaired after paying all this money?
This has not been repaired yet.
The couple is hopeful they can get back some of their money somehow, but also wanted to share their story to warn others.
I feel frustrated. I'm mad at myself for trusting them.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
The federal government has announced major funding for 5 carbon capture and storage projects in Alberta. It's a more than $20 million investment in technology, part of a bigger plan to meet emission goals. With more, here's Tim Brooke.
Standing in front of the new federal government catchphrase, Canada's new Minister of Energy and Natural Resources says he's trying to send a message.
When I gave my first speech as a minister just 6 short weeks ago, it was here in Alberta, and I promised to be back soon. I'm keeping my promise.
Tim Hodgson also came with funding and flattery, hoping to lower the temperature on a hot-button emissions reduction debate with Edmonton.
Working closely with provinces is crucial. And I have to say, Alberta is an MVP in our game plan.
That plan will see almost $22 million go toward Alberta-based carbon capture, utilization, and storage technologies. It'll give money to 5 different projects, the largest chunk going here to a gas extraction plant outside Cochrane.
We are advancing the first phase of the Bow Valley Carbon Hub, and we will be capturing and sequestering CO2 from existing operations that will be safely and permanently stored 4 kilometers underground.
The aim is to capture 40,000 tons of CO2 a year, roughly equivalent to taking 12,000 cars off the road annually. And that stored carbon can later be used in other industries.
We're just scratching the surface now on the opportunities on carbon. So it's sort of like putting your money in a bank for later use, in my opinion.
Alberta's energy minister says he's hoping the investment is a sign of what's to come, and his next priority isn't a surprise.
Is this prime minister? Is this minister going to be strong enough to, deal with some opposition and say we need a pipeline?
The federal minister promises his office will examine any other proposals as they come in. Tim Brooke, CTV News, Cochrane.
Canada's main stock index finished lower, driven partly by weakness in real estate stocks. As U.S. markets fell, the TSX lost 16 points. In New York, the Dow fell 422 and the Nasdaq dropped 189. The Canadian dollar is down a quarter cent today. On commodity markets, gold is down a dime an ounce. Oil is up 93 cents a barrel. Still ahead, real-time posting, real-life consequences, the risks of regular social media use when you're on vacation. Welcome back. A tragedy was avoided this past weekend at a beach in Port Dover. As Hannah Schmidt reports, a life was likely saved thanks to the quick thinking of a 12-year-old.
Emergency crews were called to this small cove in Port Dover Saturday afternoon after a 65-year-old swimmer experienced a medical episode while in the water.
I got notified. I was at the other end of the beach. I was notified that there was someone in distress having, they thought was a heart attack on the beach.
Thanks to a coordinated effort between a young relative and a nearby beachgoer, help came quickly.
12-year-old young girl, I think, was related to him and pulled him out of the water. Was able to get him close enough to the shore that some bystanders pulled him in, and then were able to start performing CPR immediately.
The swimmer was later transported to hospital.
After the individual was transported to the hospital, they were conscious and stable, and no major injuries. Without that swift action, that swift thinking, and ability to recognize a dangerous situation, it could have been a vastly different outcome.
The rescue follows several water-related fatalities across southwestern Ontario in recent weeks, including drownings at the Elora Quarry and Ipperwash Beach.
So there's often drownings in open water, and this year is no different. We are seeing those open water drownings happening far too frequently this year.
Life Saving Society Ontario says while summer draws more people to the water, conditions can change quickly, even for experienced swimmers.
July is always the most significant month for drownings. You need to inform yourself about what that body of water is like. Is it deep? Is it shallow? Is it rough? Are there currents? Lots of things can happen.
Police and safety officials are urging families to stay alert, especially when swimming at unsupervised beaches.
Choose lifeguard supervised settings. Only 1% of drownings in Ontario happen in lifeguard supervised settings.
This beach and other beaches across Norfolk County, they aren't staffed with lifeguards, so people need to be aware of that when they're coming into our beach areas, whether it's Port Dover or Turkey Point or Long Point.
They say this weekend's incident serves as a reminder that being prepared can make all the difference during peak beach season.
And these things, again, they can happen unexpectedly. If it wasn't for the swift action of a young 12-year-old and a bystander on the beach, we'd be having a very different conversation today.
Hannah Schmidt, CTV News, Port Dover.
An evacuation order has been issued in northern Manitoba because of imminent wildfire danger 900 kilometers north of Winnipeg.
There are 81 active fires burning in Manitoba today. We've had 235 fires to date. The 20-year average for this date is 187. Most of the province has a high fire danger level. We are following 16 fires that are near communities or have the potential to impact communities.
There are currently 7 states of local emergency and 6 communities have been evacuated, forcing about 6,600 Manitobans from their homes. Officials say about 140 personnel from outside the province are helping fight the wildfires. More countries are pulling out of an international treaty which bans the production and use of landmines. The agreement was dubbed the Ottawa Treaty, as Canada played an integral role in its creation nearly 30 years ago. Ukraine, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania have all announced their intent to withdraw from the treaty, the first signatories to do so. All are nations sharing borders with Russia. A groundbreaking ceremony today in eastern Ontario for an $850 million upgrade at CFB Trenton.
Trenton will be the home of the main operating base east, and we'll see a Husky stationed here with a crew ready to be mobilized at a moment's notice to meet a fighter jet in the air and refuel. This is a new capability for our Air Force, and it's why RCAF leadership selected the Husky aircraft. It will support your missions, enabling our fighter jets to stay in the air longer, extending the range of the aircraft.
Officials say the upgrades are meant to support the arrival and operation of up to 7 large military aircraft. The first phase will resurface the existing runway, aprons, and taxiways. A new hangar will also be built, along with training facilities and a fuel depot. Construction is expected to be complete by 2033. A warning from security experts about posting on public social media while on vacation. Vanessa Wright has more on the risks of doing so in real time.
When social media influencer Hannah Logan took a trip to Greece last month, she shared a photo with her followers on Instagram showing them the breathtaking beach views, tagging its location. But then something unsettling happened.
A few hours later, when we go to leave and I open my phone and I open Instagram, I have a message from a random guy on the island who's saying, "Oh, hey, I'm here too."
She says nothing escalated, but admits the situation was an eye-opener.
You know, for someone who works in this industry and knows better, that was definitely a reminder. Like, this is why you do not post in real time.
But she isn't the only one. A new poll found nearly 32% of Canadian social media users post about their vacation plans, with 9% posting their plans before a trip, 28% post during their trip, and 15% of people say sharing on social media is more of a priority than keeping their home safe from a break-in.
For us, that's actually like quite an alarming statistic because, 15% of people actually prioritize putting their pictures for people to know that they're on vacation is more important for them than having their home safe, which it should be the complete, it should be 0% of people that put that, pictures are of a priority.
Security expert Brian McLennan says there are simple things homeowners can do to protect themselves and their property, like have a house sitter. But if that's not possible,
make sure if you can get an alarm system, get cameras if you can. The Ring doorbells or the Google Nests are really good to catch at least something. And if nothing else, just the lights themselves. Like I said, you can put them on different timers so they flick on at different times on any day of the week. And that way it looks like there is somebody actually moving throughout the house.
For those like Logan, where sharing her daily life and travel is a part of her job, she says she'll take precautions moving forward.
I think it's more about, planning and posting smartly. Like, share your vacation and share where you are. Just don't share it exact real time. And one of the things I found a big thing is don't geotag, right? People don't need to know exactly where you are.
Vanessa Wright, CTV News.
Tomorrow on CTV News, get ready to rock the park. The summer festival staple kicks off 5 days of music at Harris Park. That's tomorrow on CTV News at 6.
A shout out to Wendy for our photograph of the day. Thanks for sending this one in. Mainly cloudy overnight, but clearing skies heading into Tuesday afternoon. We could see a few spotty light showers move through midweek, and temperatures will average close to normal over the next 7.
An urgent search is underway for survivors in Texas. Authorities say more than 90 people have been killed in disastrous flash flooding, including dozens of children. As Adrian Gobriel reports, criticism today was pointed at Washington for a slow response.
As the search for survivors intensifies, the full scale of this deadly disaster is coming into focus. This footage shares a glimpse of just some of the 850 life and death high water rescues that took place. Hundreds of state and federal first responders and more than a dozen K-9 units are on the ground, including volunteers on foot and horseback.
If it was my babies, I'd want somebody looking, so that's why I'm here.
Dozens of children have been confirmed dead, with another 10 campers and one counselor, as of this morning, still missing from Camp Mystic, a Christian girls' camp.
I've lost near friends, best friends, my boss, my godchildren, my house, my car.
The camp, perched along the Guadalupe River, saw floodwaters rise 8 meters in just 45 minutes. 2 hours north in Kingsland, Texas, this time-lapse shows just how quickly floodwaters rose.
You know that your child is going to be swimming and canoes and horseback riding and doing archery and making lifetime friends. And then suddenly it turns to tragedy.
With the National Weather Service saying their flood warnings were timely and accurate, questions about weather alerts reached those most at risk remain, with the mayor of Kerrville, Texas, admitting he never received one.
Everyone here, if we could have warned them, we would have done so. And we didn't even have a warning. We did not know.
The city manager of Kerrville asked today why an evacuation order wasn't issued.
It's very tough to make those calls because what we also don't want to do is cry wolf.
An answer that will bring little comfort to those who've lost so much.
With the U.S. president signing a major disaster declaration for Carroll County, Texas, Federal Emergency Management Agency resources have been deployed as ongoing discussions to close down FEMA are still taking place, according to a White House spokesperson today. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Washington.
Canadian healthcare officials say they're concerned about funding cuts in the U.S., potentially impacting service and research on this side of the border. In an editorial posted this week in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, the authors write coordinated attacks on U.S. health institutions by the country's executive office have drastically reduced capacity to collect, interpret, and share data in the service of public health delivery. Data Canada relies on for tracking infection spread like Mpox or measles. They write better data collection can lead to earlier detection, greater prevention, and better response.
We certainly were piggybacking on a lot of that. And now that that's been cut, it's definitely past time that we pick up the slack.
Health officials say the federal and provincial governments should be increasing investments in Canada's health surveillance infrastructure.
With or without the cuts in the United States, we can certainly increase our disease surveillance in Canada, but it's especially important because of the significant cuts that have been made to the CDC and the NIH and other institutions in the United States that help detect infectious diseases.
Rescue crews in British Columbia say they retrieved a man stranded in the woods this weekend surrounded by wildfire. What they didn't expect to see him taken away in handcuffs shortly after. As Penny Daflos reports, he was actually wanted by police.
The smoke was visible on the southern outskirts of Hope. The Silver Creek fire itself was small, but too close to the community to risk it growing any bigger.
The tricky thing with this fire is it's just the terrain that it's in. It's very steep and sloped.
A helicopter attacked the flames from above while ground crews trudged up the mountain.
Making sure everybody stays safe while they're working it, it's a big concern.
Those crews called off the chopper after hearing something.
Somebody calling for help.
Brad Fandrich changed gears from aerial firefighter to rescue pilot. The local search and rescue team worked with him to long line a man off a cliff face to safety, and a surprise.
We've never gone from the subject of a rescue to being walked away in handcuffs within 2 minutes of him arriving on the ground. That's the first for sure.
Mounties say the man they rescued was Caden Blackwell. The 27-year-old has been wanted for months and was the subject of multiple outstanding warrants and Crime Stoppers bulletins. Public court records show he's facing multiple charges, including driving without a license and assaulting a peace officer.
Where this fire started, it's above a band of cliffs that there's nobody camping there or anything. It was definitely suspicious.
The wildfire service has determined the fire was human caused, but won't address rumors Blackwell may have started a signal fire for help that got out of control. The wildfire danger rating is currently moderate in the Lower Mainland and Fraser Valley, but with more warm weather on the way,
You can expect to see the fire danger rating starting to rise.
Blackwell is expected to be far from the woods in custody. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
London-born actress Rachel McAdams is getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Okay, fine. I'll go out with you.
No, don't do me any favors.
No, I want to.
Say it again.
I want to go out with you.
McAdams was raised in St. Thomas before landing notable roles in The Notebook and Mean Girls. She's one of 35 inductees this year, although at this point, no induction ceremony date has been announced. Her latest work is a film called Send Help, which is set for release early next year.
London's top stories.
We have breaking news tonight out of Ottawa. The latest on the
breaking news alerts.
I'm tracking an area of severe weather. It'll start.
And watch live.
A development now to a story from City Hall we brought you.
Download the CTV News app.
Welcome back. Crowds packed the streets of Pamplona, Spain today ahead of the season's first running of the Bulls. Today is festival day 1 of 9. The bull running happens each morning starting tomorrow, drawing more than 1 million people to the community each year. It's a controversial event attracting protests over the years, including animal advocates today who call it a display of animal cruelty. Finally tonight, a story of yard maintenance that turned into an opportunity to share positivity. As Adam Sawatsky reports, all it took was a little pruning.
Every time she backed up her car,
the head on the swivel really a lot.
Tracy Ferreria's view of the oncoming traffic was blocked by that bush.
It was a bit of a challenge, safety-wise.
But Tracy didn't want to cut it down. So her husband John wondered if the best workaround was to cut through it.
And so I made a couple of holes.
Which proved to be a whole lot of help for Tracy.
That's brilliant. This is so much easier to get out of the driveway.
Until a friend mentioned the hole looked like a mouth.
You got to make a face. So I made a face, let the hair grow on it.
He even named it. But despite John's best efforts, the dude seemed to be somewhat dour.
I said, you got to do one on the other side that's happy.
So John made the other side smile, which not only inspired passing people to share appreciative comments, but leave presents too.
Then left a beer there for me to say thank you. For Christmas, someone left a card and say thank you.
Because every season, Tracy and John find some way to make the dude even more dynamic.
For Halloween, I have a mannequin that I stuffed in its mouth there.
While the grumpy side can get ghoulish, the smiling side is happy to hop at Easter or ho 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 come Christmas.
I sewed a really big Santa hat to put on it.
But when it comes to celebrating our country, there's a consensus that both sides fly flags attached to hockey sticks.
In today's world, I think we need to do happy stuff.
Which is why John has expanded his positive pruning to include a second bush he calls the little dudes, who Tracy calls the kids, because like real children, they also can't get enough of Christmas.
A little bit of effort can bring a whole lot of joy. So why not take the time?
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Saanich.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For your latest local headlines, you can always head to our website. I'm back tonight with your late news at 11. Bye for now.